Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're talking all about timeline survival because the rewards have been revamped and the difficulty has been revamped with 3 brand new threat levels, 4, 5, and 6. So I wanted to cover threat level 6 for you guys, talk about what types of characters you want to look at building or just getting the right uniforms for and maxing out if you want to excel and just crush timeline survival and farm it as much as possible. Now, right away you're going to be wondering, Alex, why should I play timeline survival at all? I'm going to cover that in a separate video later on today, talking all about artifacts. There's just too much information to cram into one video, but what you need to know is 2 things. You need to trust me on the first one, which is play timeline survival. Farm at least 1 threat level every single day. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. And the other thing that you need to remember to do is always collect your 4 or 5 free artifact chests every single day. And of course, these gold artifact chests you unlock by being at a certain shield level. So if you don't see them all, or if you can't unlock them all, just get that shield level up to 70. Boom! Yeah, and that's why you want to do that, okay? I just got a 4-star crescent artifact. That's awesome. Okay, anyways, so this video is off to a great start. This is my 3rd time trying to record this due to various issues. You can see I've been practicing a lot. I drained like 800 energy just playing through all these survivals in order to bring you guys all of the tips and tricks and this just mega guide. So this is basically a comprehensive guide, everything you need to do, all of the best characters for this. I'm going to highlight all of them, and I'm going to show you guys the super secret trick that is going to allow you to play timeline survival and win with just 1 character. I'm also going to give you guys some other tips and show you which things matter, and I'll explain more later, and which things don't matter, because not all things are created equally. Now, before we jump in, or as we jump into threat level 6, which is what I want to show you guys, I'm just going to highlight 2 important things. 1, the difficulty level in terms of the requirements does scale dramatically. The first 3 threat levels are quite easy. It's just tier 1 and then tier 2 characters at level 60 or 70. That's fine. You know, even if you've only played the game for a couple of months, you should be able to tackle this. You can always farm the lower threat levels to build up more of the bonus buffs. I'll show you what the buffs look like when we get to threat level 6, because they carry on, and the buffs only reset at the end of a season, which is every, I believe, 2 weeks. So you can farm up the lower threat levels for the first couple of days, and then you'll have enough buffs that you'll be able to charge through the next couple threat levels higher with your same characters. But once you get to threat level 4, you have to bring in tier 3 characters or transcended characters. You can no longer bring in any tier 2s, and those are the same requirements for 5 and 6. The only difference on 6 is that you're going to see a lot more legendary tiles, and you're also going to have a slightly larger playing board. Instead of a 10 by 10, it's a 12 by 12. The other thing you need to remember, if you've never played timeline survival or you forgot, it's basically a mix of dispatch and Shadowland rumbles. Specifically, those Shadowland rumbles in the 30s, where you have to bring in, you know, spider sense characters. And if you don't bring in spider sense characters, you don't do any damage, or you have to bring in Phoenix Force characters. It's not those requirements, but it's similar. So with that in mind, I'm going to put together a surprise team for you guys, and we're going to jump in and try to solo this entire threat level 6 here. I'll be back in a second. So here we go. Land of Fire. Demons from Muspelheim have invaded Earth. Stop demons from burning everything to the ground and protect the world order. So we zone in here. Basic strategy, you're going to want to move 2 across, like in one direction, and then 1 up, and then continue going up until you hit the next wall. So I'm going to go 2 across. Now here's an important thing you need to know right off the bat. You can actually check, let's say both of the squares were swords, which means a battle, right? The question mark right now, it's a question mark. But if they were both battles, I can actually click and check to see which one I would prefer to play against. So I'm going to check here. You can check before you jump onto the stage. So you can check the battle tips, and that's really what the dispatch is now, timeline survival is now all about. It's about matching those battle tips. So you can see here the battle tips against these villains is combat types have an advantage, and then characters with the superhuman strength have an advantage, which is the strength ability. So I have to bring 1 or more of those characters, okay? So that's basically how it goes. Keep in mind that this stage and the Ultron stage are actually a little bit bugged. I don't want to talk about that just yet, but I'm just giving you guys this important note, because if you're finding that you're jumping into stages that you don't have the characters for, and then it's taking a really long time to clear the stage, you can actually investigate the stage and then decide to go to the other stage instead. Like if this was another battle, I could investigate it to see if it's different and if it has maybe more advantageous requirements. Anyways, I'm gonna jump into this one, and I'm basically gonna simulate what you guys would do. You guys would just go in here and bring your top 3 characters and just go. I'm guessing this is what you did, okay? And you're like, let's go, autoplay, let me just smash. This is gonna take 5 seconds. I got all my tier 3s, baby. And then, you know, you hear the battle noise, Maybe you have music playing instead of the in-game sounds. You look over and you're like, why are they not dying? What's going on? I'm using Mephisto, I'm using Null. Alex said these characters were meta. What is this garbage? It's just like Shadowland Rumbles on those stage 30 levels, where if you don't bring the exact requirements that they ask for, they will give themselves a 99%. You can see it disappears pretty quickly, but it's a decrease all damage, all basic damage by 99%. And so if you look at the yellow numbers, they're in the hundreds. I'm dealing more instinct damage than I'm dealing regular damage. Even though I'm using tier 3s with CTPs of Judgment and CTPs of Energy. And I'm popping off. The damage is super low because I didn't bring any combat types, and I didn't bring any characters that have the ability, the strong ability. I actually did bring one. Null has the super strength ability, but Mephisto and Sentry don't. So as soon as Mephisto or Sentry hits Viper, Sin, or Crossbones, it will automatically give them that buff. And that will last for the remainder of the battle unless it's removed, wink wink. So what you need to pay really close attention to is the requirements, those battle tips, right? Just like in stage 34 of Shadowland, you have to bring a Phoenix Force character. Same rules apply here. Additionally, if you mind control the enemies and then they attack each other, that will also trigger. So you gotta be really careful when you bring in mind control characters like Ebony and Loki and so on. They can sort of mess up your plan. Now, I still cleared it, and you can still clear it too. Pierce is not really needed here at all. Like, I've got players that can do threat level 6 with very, very low Pierce, so don't worry, it's not about your Pierce or anything, but you don't want to take 2 minutes per stage, right? On average, you're going to clear 20, 30 tiles for every timeline survival. You want to get through this as fast as possible. So I have curated a list for you guys that's going to cover all of the most important traits that you will see, all of the most important battle tips. So let's check out these next two stages. I'm taking a little bit slow here, but here, we got the same villains, but completely different battle tips. Universal types and humans. Let's check out this other one here. Okay. We got another group of the same villains here. Super villains and mutants. So you can see these are completely different requirements, okay? Here's what I'm going to show you guys now, okay? I'm going to pull back the curtain on my research. Boom. So this is a small selection of characters that I think are very good for timeline survival. This is not an exhaustive list. This doesn't mean that you can't use any other character. You can absolutely use other characters for timeline survival, but these characters are not only going to cover all of the abilities that you're going to see in threat level 6, because there's no ability requirements and restrictions in level 5 or 4. So it's not only going to cover all of the restrictions that you can see, like machine types, which is technokinetic, or fire, magic, command, weapon master, heal, or strong, which we just saw in the last one, strong, but it's also going to cover the most important races and, of course, hero or villain. So you need heroes, you need villains, you also need to bring humans, aliens, mutants, and you need to bring one inhuman, Medusa. You could bring Black Bolt if you want, but Medusa's better because she has the command ability, so she sort of double dips. As you can see here, I've sort of color-coded it to show you what the characters have and what they don't have, and we end up with a very, very balanced roster of 9. Now, what's important here that I wanted to do is I not only wanted to keep this list of characters very, very cheap, so there's only 2 native tier 2s. We've got Wolverine and Doctor Strange. Everyone else is an 800 CCF tier 3 or a regular transcended character. There's very few paywall characters. There's only really Valkyrie and Rescue. So I wanted to keep that as cheap as possible, and I also needed it to be as tight as possible in terms of still giving you wiggle room to add more characters, because you can bring up to 12 characters for timeline survival, so this group is only 9, so you can add 3 more of your choosing. Now, there's some important things to note here. These aren't necessarily the best characters for timeline survival, because I told you these characters can do it, and I think these characters are very good and flexible, but they're also some of the cheapest. So for example, Cyclops. Not the best character in the game, not going to do crazy damage, but he does have a good leadership, and he can double as a hero and a villain. So he does that, the hero mutant requirement and the villain mutant requirement, and he's also going to have the command ability, which is really good, and he's blast type. But you could swap out Cyclops for Namor, because Namor is also a hero and a villain, and also a mutant. Or if you already had a hero mutant, you could sub out Cyclops for Mystique, for a mutant villain, or Magneto, for example. So you see where I'm going with this, but that's basically what this list is. And then down here are some other characters that I think are very good. Generally speaking, characters that can change typing seem good, but they actually don't matter. And I'll explain why. Basically, the stats or the abilities that I've highlighted up here, the restrictions that I've highlighted up here, are the important ones. These ones, if you fail to bring characters that have these, or if you bring a character that has something else, then you'll trigger the 99% damage reduction. But I have tested and found that if the stage asks for combat males, you can bring combat, or you can bring universal males, you can bring blast males, you can bring speed males. The typing doesn't matter. Sorry, I messed that up. If it asks for male heroes, you can bring female heroes. That's what I meant to say. If it asks for human females, you can bring human males. So you only have to satisfy these requirements. You actually can ignore these almost entirely. There are a couple of bugged stages, but what I found is that you do not need to follow, and I'll show you guys when we go back to some fights here. You do not need to follow the male-female combat blast speed universal types, unless of course it's like they ask for male and speed. Then you're gonna have to satisfy at least one of those. But if it's a combination of one yellow tag and one non-yellow tag, then you only have to satisfy the yellow tag, and that adds a lot of flexibility to your roster, which is why this is the roster that I have. So here they're asking for supervillains and mutants, so I have to satisfy both of them. Otherwise, it's going to trigger that -99, and I'll just show you guys what this looks like here. So I'll jump into the stage, and I'm just going to bring in, where's Cyclops? Oh, I didn't bring Cyclops along here. Okay. So do I have any? No, I don't have any. Okay, I messed this one up. Why didn't I bring Cyclops? Okay, it doesn't matter. I don't have one, so I'll show you guys. We'll skip ahead a little bit here, and I'll show you guys the cheat code, okay? The cheat code is Doctor Strange. If you guys didn't know, Doctor Strange can do any Shadowland stage, and that is true as well for Timeline Survival. Now, he's going to apply that -99% damage reduction, so as you can see right now, the damage is really bad, but look at that. If you notice next to their icons, the buffs start disappearing. Those yellow buffs with the muscle starts disappearing. Why? Because of Doctor Strange's second skill. Remove all buffs. Remove all active buffs. Now, the buff gets reapplied, so the damage sort of goes like this. But what happens when you pop Doctor Strange's tier 3 skill? Check this out. His tier 3 skill removes all buffs, and then it also paralyzes over and over and over again. So because of that, you just delete them. Once you pop Doctor Strange's tier 3 skill, it's over. The tier 3 skill will strip all of their buffs and then apply a refreshing 1-second paralysis. That will lock the enemies in place and not allow them to refresh their buff. That is basically the moment where it's open season, and you can just hammer them with all your damage at full blast, no matter what the restriction was. So yes, you can literally cheese the entirety of threat level 6 if you play, especially if you play manually, with just Doctor Strange. You can literally do it with just one character. It's a little bit risky. You can make some mistakes. They can iframe you at the start and dodge Doctor Strange and do damage. So I don't necessarily recommend you trying to solo threat level 6 with just Doctor Strange, but especially once you get a lot of buffs, survival effects, it can be really easy. And this is what I meant about farming the lower threat levels if you get stuck. Let's say you climb up to threat level 6 and then you get knocked down because it's too hard. You can farm threat level 5 until you build up enough survival effects for the season of Timeline Survival, and then you can come back stronger. Like, look at this. Applies a 5 barrier when the battle begins. Increases HP by 15% when HP is 30% or lower. I've got heals, I've got debuffs, I've got all these, increases to my defense and offense and HP, increase my attack, increase my defense, increase my HP. All this stuff stacks on all my characters as long as they, as long as they're related to the type in some cases, right? Like increasing supervillain's defense or whatever. So this is really helpful, but here we go. Let's do another one here. This is a perfect example, Blast and Human. So I'm going to bring in a human type, but I'm not going to bring in a Blast type. So I'm going to go ahead with Captain America. Captain America is human. Captain America is not a Blast type. He's a combat type. Now, I could switch Captain America to the villain uniform, but I don't have to. Check this out. So I'm going to show you guys that typing doesn't matter. And as you can see, they don't apply that 100% or that 99% damage reduction. So as you can see, I can do full damage to Kingpin, Bullseye, and Elektra. And now they're all, well, the two of them are dead, and now Kingpin is just left. So this is the really good thing that I found, and this is going to help you really fly through. And this is actually what I think makes Timeline Survival a little bit more interesting. Rather than just cheesing every stage, if you wanted to do this, to do like a 3 versus 1 and sort of like fight against the odds, I think it's really cool, and it's a lot easier than it looks. So when people see the requirements, like, oh man, I need to bring a Blast and a human, so I need to have one of every type, plus one of every race, plus one of every hero and villain. No. So that, again, just to recap, that stage asked for a hero who is, or sorry, asked for a human who was also blast. I brought in a human who was combat, and it didn't matter because I fulfilled the yellow tag requirement. Hopefully this is intended by the devs and they don't patch this out. But anywho, let's continue here. This is the same one here, blast human. So I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like when you actually bring the required characters. You can just smash through. Now, if I were to bring, for example, instead of bringing Captain America, if I had brought in Mephisto, who is a blast type, but not human, then it would have triggered the 99% damage reduction, and I would have died. The reason why that one went so fast, despite not having Doctor Strange's Tier 3, is because I fulfilled the requirements. All three of those characters up top there are blast humans, so they do, you know, fulfill the requirements. I'm going to grab that distributor here. Nice. We're going to combo that into the shop, and I'm going to try, and I don't think I'm able to do the whole threat level, but I want to show you guys one boss. So I'm just going to hunt through. Nice. You want to go for as many shops as you can. You want to build up your temporal energy. I have over 100. I'm going to show you guys right here. I have 118 temporal energy. You'll get that once you just play enough. You'll get lucky, basically. So here's one of the stages that is actually kind of bugged. So it asks for female aliens. So you can actually you should be able to bring in male aliens. But even if I bring in female aliens, so these two characters are female aliens, it may still trigger the issue. I'm not sure what's wrong with the stage. This stage can have a bug, and the crossbone stage can have a bug where the enemies will still apply the 99% damage reduction. Okay, they didn't this time, but sometimes they do. It's pretty bizarre. I'll try to show you guys. I'll try to replicate it, but the devs should investigate that and fix that because it's really annoying when it happens. I'm gonna go for this shop here. So yeah, this is basically timeline survival. I think this game mode's super duper fun. We'll try this one. It's, what is it? Male aliens. Okay, I have no, male alien. I have Loki. I'll show you guys what happens with the mind control if I don't one-shot them. It's because President Loki has mind control. See, they can catch you slipping right at the beginning, and they can do a lot of damage. So there, I was lucky. They didn't hit each other. Boom. Okay. But I like soloing it rather than always going in with the same team and just cheesing it with Doctor Strange. It's a viable strategy, don't get me wrong, but I prefer a little bit more challenge. So here we go. This one is universal and human. So I can just bring in, humans that are non-universal. So I believe I'll be able to solo this with just Human Torch. So even though he's not universal, he is human. And we're just gonna one-shot everybody here. Oh, sure he got away. There you go. So you don't even have to worry about the typing. You don't have to worry about typing. You don't have to worry about male or female. You just have to satisfy the hero, villain, race tags, and the tags when it asks for specific abilities like command or weapons master or strong or healing or magic or the other ones. Recovers HP. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to show you the whole thing here. All right. Okay, so this is a good example of a bug stage. I'm going to show you this bug stage, then I'm going to cut ahead to the boss so I can show you what the boss looks like. But this one here, I think there's something wrong because it says characters with the command ability. So I filter by the command ability, and I know I brought a command character. I brought two, actually. I brought Captain America, and I brought Medusa. So I'm going to show you guys what happens. I'll bring both of them, all right, just to show you guys. So both of these characters have the command ability, and that was the only battle tip, right? Watch what happens. Okay, so there you go. So for some reason, Iron Man and Dr. Octopus died immediately, which makes sense. But now for some reason, Ultron has the damage debuff, has the buff that makes us deal 99% less basic damage. So now this turns into a slog fest where this is going to take us, you know, another 20, 30 seconds rather than being finished, being over. Because of this bug. So hopefully the devs investigate this. It's only on the Crossbones stage with Viper and Sin, and then this stage here. It doesn't happen on any other stages, so I'm guessing this is an unintended effect. But yeah, it does sort of slow you down, and it can be kind of annoying, especially if you figure it out, right? If you build the right team and you bring them in, you expect it to do well, and they don't. I brought Captain America because I knew the bug was going to activate and it was going to take so much longer if I just had Medusa. But still, with 2 characters, it still took 43 seconds. They both have a CTP of Rage. They're both juiced out. So yeah, hopefully they fix that bug. But let me just skip ahead to the boss here and show you. So here we go. We made it to the boss. This is one of 3 bosses that you have to defeat in order to complete the Land of Fire threat level and get that daily reward, which is 3 to 6 chests that can drop one of these in it. So they're really, really good. And I got 4 today. Just random number of chests. And then you just take him down. And so it's pretty straightforward here. The Searcher boss, there's other mini bosses like Taskmaster who will have battle tips that are specific, like bringing in Weapon Master characters or bringing in speed types or mutants. But this one here against Searcher, the big boss that you do have to fight, doesn't have any requirements. So in this case, you can just bring in whatever characters you want and just blast him. Now, one really important tip that I haven't covered yet is how good transcended characters are. Unlike tier 3 characters who have to build up to their tier 3, in this game mode, transcended characters, their transcended skill starts off cooldown. So this could actually be done way faster by weaker characters who are transcended. Like if I had brought in Supergiant and Human Torch, it's 2 versus 3, they would still go faster than this because they can both pop off their transcended skill right away. And especially if you manually control one of them and you do the right combo, boom, you crush it. So I have a mix of transcended and tier 3 characters, but you can also just bring in a bunch of transcended characters. And for example, on this list, originally before Loki, I actually had Black Dwarf because Black Dwarf is also a villain, also an alien, and he also satisfies the strong ability that you need that Valkyrie had. So you could swap out Valkyrie for someone else, and then you could swap out Loki for Black Dwarf and still do really well. And then you're just adding another transcended character to your list who can pop off with tons of damage right at the beginning and just like one-shot the opponents. So that about wraps it up for my timeline survival guide. Just a few more tips here for you guys before I end the video. 1, Doctor Strange is the only character that you can basically cheese any stage with no matter what, even if you don't have a CTP of Rage and you don't have much Pierce, because he has the remove all buffs ability on his second skill, and then he also has remove all buffs and the paralysis on his tier 3. There are other characters that have the remove all buffs effect, but they do not work in timeline survival for different reasons. Like Thanos doesn't work because the buff refreshes after he removes it, and he has no way of adding, you know, a stacking paralysis. And then Cosmic Ghost Rider has remove all buffs, but he is not tier 3able. The other big tip I have for you guys, if you really just want to blast through and you just want to like solo the content and not really care about teams and strategy and all that stuff, if you really just want to like blindly fly through the content, you can just use Supergiant, Loki, and one other Universal. You could use like Null or Sentry or something like this team, for example. Obviously, it's a more expensive team, but if you really just want the minimal amount of effort and you want to just like set the fight and then go do something else, or like set this while you're working and then just look down when you're done, this team will basically always win the fight, even if you don't have much Pierce. I know players that can complete these stages in a minute if they're just playing one of the characters and they have like less than 10% Pierce. So yeah, you don't have to worry. This team will basically solo all the time. I think President Loki's a little bit better for this because of the mind control to keep them locked down more often, which keeps them out of iframes, which keeps them taking damage. But I'm sure you could probably get it done with TVA Loki as well. There's probably other teams that can do this also. I'm not saying this is the only team that can just solo, but this team can definitely solo every single stage of threat level 6 for me. So that's an important thing to note as well. Again, if you just want to set it and forget it, right? Like you could put this on and then start cooking, start chopping onions, start chopping, you know, doing your thing, start marinating the chicken, getting it ready to go in the pan, and then a minute or two later you look over, the stage is done. So you just click, go to the next stage, set the same 3 goons, press start, and then you keep cooking kind of thing. And so this way, more people will have access to timeline survival. You'll play it, you'll farm the rewards, and then when you watch my second video today on why you want to farm this game mode for the rewards, you'll be happy that you did. Not only to talk about the luck that I had pulling that 4-star Crescent artifact, which I'm pretty hype about. So yeah, hopefully you guys get tons of luck in the timeline survival. Hopefully you get lots of shops with lots of temporal energy and celestial essence. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any tips or ideas down below in the comments. Smash the like button if this video helped you, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.